Well, hey y'all.
It's on.
My name is Willie Lawson, and this is Morning Report. We have a super special guest here. And guys, I don't get out very much because I'm not homebound, but I don't get out very much. And I only talk to people that really mean a lot to me, and have had special position in my life, like our friend Paul Swanson, our friend Kevin Batts. You guys have met. You met Kevin, and you've met Paul, and you've met some other folks. And this person you've not met. This is my friend Franci Dupre. Now, I have to say this. We were just talking off air about Franci being a safe space for kids in the school district. What Franci doesn't realize, or maybe she does, is that she was also a safe space for me when we worked at the same school. Because I would go hide out in her, I would go hide out in her office sometime and have coffee and have a snack just to get away from what all the things that were happening in the school and all the things that were being said and blah 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 and the drama that ended up being inside school stuff, which is kind of inside baseball. So she was a safe haven for me as well, and I am forever in her debt. I don't know how long I would have lasted had it not been for you, Franci. I don't know, between you and Jerry and Al. Oh my God, you guys were you guys were always my advocate. You were always my protectors, and I appreciate that even to this day. Thank you ever so much. Franci was a guidance resource specialist. Was that the title?
That was my first title, and then they changed the title to College and Career Counselor.
College and Career Counselor, CCC. That sounds a little. I don't know those letters and together. I don't know, but anyway. What was your primary function?
My primary function was to work directly with students and parents, make sure that students were aware of anything and everything that was out there to benefit their road to post-secondary education.
I understand. Because we hear all the time, or we would hear all the time, that there's stuff even in the statutes of the state that the children were eligible for that nobody ever advertised and no one ever knew. It was that kind of stuff, and of course you were responsible for getting colleges and universities to come and have college days at schools and that kind of thing. Okay, so you helped a lot of kids who may have not had the opportunity to go to post-secondary, help them get there. And I'm guessing because you were such a great director character in kids, a lot of those kids did very well. Just smile and say yes, nod your head, because that's true. And we deal in what's true. That is fantastic. Removed from the times that we were there, are sort of a different time. We've got a more electronic, social media-ish way to learn things. I didn't do an interview with him, but I heard an interview with Elon Musk, and Elon said that everything that you need to learn is available for free. That being, and I think that's true. I really do. Except how to reset the tire pressure gauge on my car right now. Apparently, that is not online anywhere.
My tires are all different pressures all the time.
All the time, and I had the left one go off, and then the right one go off on the way over here. And I looked at them, and they're both fine.
And then try to find a place to fill your tires with air.
Yeah, for free.
That works.
Yeah. We've got pumps out there. Yeah, but there's no nozzle on this pump. Yeah, that's exactly right. So apparently that's not out there for free. But there is so much information out there for free at this point. I often wonder about the value that a degree for the average student brings anymore. And I'm not sure, personally, if it's the same value. What are your thoughts? Is it the same value that it was in 1990?
No, I do not believe so. No. Because with the economic outlook for the country, it is harder to find jobs. And it is more difficult to find jobs that pay well. So that's why you must plan strategically throughout high school in order to meet whatever your goals are. And I truly believe that a lot of families push college, 4-year college, where there are so many other options out there available to our students and they don't know about it. And that's one of the things why I feel like somebody has to be there to say, even to the parents. I've had parents in my office, oh no, my child's going to school. Okay, but there's other kinds of schools, like vocational technical schools, like apprenticeships. Students can start at junior/community colleges and things like that. So I truly believe that even though everything's available on the internet, it's not available on the internet because the kids don't know where to find it. They know where to find everything else, but they really, really, really like that personal touch, that Miss Dupree, can you help? I didn't know that. And, you just tell them what they didn't know.
I agree. You were mentioning that there are other, there were always those alternatives.
Absolutely.
Apprenticeships, junior colleges. Me and some of my best friends started at community college, by the way. Some of them did better than I did, obviously, but and went on to advanced degrees and really responsible jobs.
Well, do you know how long it took me to graduate from college? I got married, Vietnam War, my husband, anyway, exactly 20 years from when I graduated from high school did I graduate from college.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you throw a party and everything?
No. It's very depressing. I walked out of my last class and
you're all done.
There was no band or anything.
No band, no cheerleaders, nothing, huh?
No.
Somebody should have ordered something.
I think my family applauded when I got home, but I'm not sure.
That's nice. Well, you did it.
And that's one of the things I want to let people know is that if it's interrupted for some reason, you can do it. If I did it, you can do it.
That's awesome. The other alternatives, why don't you think that they are pushed, offered, so kids know and kids and parents know that might be an alternative for their youngster? Why do you think that is?
I think it's partly because parents expect their children to go to a 4-year school. It's very competitive, meaning for most parents, and this is my experience, for most parents, a community college isn't an option for their child because their child has done so well in high school. It's almost like an insult for them to start at a community college or to go to a vocational technical school. Now, there are many vocational technical colleges. They have to meet stringent requirements, and they go from schools to colleges. And there's so many programs out there. And, I was reading an article the other day, and it showed the difference between a 4-year college grad financially and a student who graduated from high school and went on an apprenticeship. So every year it showed how much more money the college student owed, and every year how much more money the student that entered an apprenticeship made. So the apprenticeship is making money and the college student is making loans, making debt.
I think that ultimately when we start talking about, and there's been a lot of talk about, student loan debt and relieving that pressure on students, when I think my view is that the systems promote the increase of student debt.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a horrible thing, that they keep promoting this and just get another degree, go to another school, and no problem, just sign your FAFSA, get some more money. It's fine, we'll just keep. And then, of course, when you get out and you finally quit, you have this mountain of debt. It's a huge amount. I mean, we're not talking about, okay, so you owe $10,000. No, you owe hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes.
Absolutely.
And there aren't many positions that are available for people who don't have any experience that are going to start chopping down that mountain of debt in any real way. Because I worked in the math department and we learned a little bit about compound interest. Compound interest can work for you or it can beat you to death. It works against you. It works for the lending institutions every bit as well. So when they start tossing compound interest on these debts, it's a pool of quicksand that a lot of people take 20 years, 25 years to recover from.
Or never.
And sometimes never.
They can be 50 and still be paying off their college loans. And it's sad. And that was one of the things that I emphasized year after year after year. You must minimize your debt. And there are ways to do that. For instance, go to a community college. Live at home for 2 years with your parents if they're willing to allow you to stay. And most parents are. Mm-hmm. Because the community college, even though you're taking the exact same courses, the community college rate per hour is cheaper than the 4-year school.
ENC 1101, and I mention that number all the time because I remember what that cost. Now, I went to college back with the dinosaurs, and Fred Flintstone was my classmate, so it was a while ago. I remember that because we were on quarter hours. I thought you know how long it was. It was $11 per quarter hour. Mm-hmm. ENC 1101 cost me $33. Mm-hmm. The book, E.B. Strong's Element of Style, was almost a quarter of that cost, and there was a little paperback book, which I still have, by the way. And now I'm thinking that same course, because I look it up every time through college catalog, they're still offering that very same number, and it's hundreds of dollars. Mm-hmm. Why?
Because
is it because
there's overhead, and because professors want more and more money, and inflation.
It's well beyond any inflation, because I know a little bit about numbers. It's well beyond any inflation that this country has experienced. We've experienced some serious inflation over the years, but not to that degree. And it isn't just because they're building football stadiums for schools that don't need them. And
when you were going to college, you did not have the opportunity to take dual enrollment classes. So you could have taken ENC 1101 for free, either in the high school or on the college campus.
And that's another thing I want to talk about. I have you guys know that I teach saxophone, flute, and clarinet, so I have a lot of high school kids that I deal with. And they are and middle school kids, and they're all talking about taking advanced placement classes. Now, before y'all get crazy, I have anything against advanced placement classes if they are truly advanced placement and more rigorous, and you learn more. That's cool. That's fantastic. But for the buck, for the return on investment, for me, it seems like dual enrollment classes are like getting a scholarship.
Well, dual enrollment. You take the exam at the end of the semester, and you earn college credit.
And there you go.
Advanced placement.
They spin the wheel.
You take an exam, and if you don't get a 3, 4, or 5, no chance at college credit. Some colleges don't even accept 3s. Some colleges do not accept advanced placement credit anymore.
And I don't think a lot of folks know that. I mean, Franci, I have kids who come to come study with me, and they are bedraggled because they've got 4 AP classes, and the amount of work is just whipping their butt.
Absolutely.
And I'm always like, golly, and how horrible would it be to pick their favorite school that they've been dreaming about for 2 or 3 years and find out, good job. We don't care.
Exactly.
We'd rather have the money. You can take these classes here, but I thought I was getting out of those classes.
And they do not, even if you would get a 3, 4, or 5, The universities award the credit. They do not have to award you credit. So it's strictly up to the university.
It's a crapshoot.
Yep.
They spin the wheel. Yeah, not this time.
And you are completely right. Parents and students don't understand that.
It seems like dual enrollment. It seems to make more sense. It's like getting a scholarship for the ENC 1101. You get it for free. You get the book for free, and you get the credit because you actually enroll at whatever sponsoring school there is.
Absolutely.
And around here, I think it's Hillsborough Community College where we live.
Yes.
If that hasn't changed, and you actually get the credit for it. And that ENC 1101, look it up. It's my favorite one. In my state is freshman English everywhere. So when they look at your script, they go, "Oh, you've already taken ENC 1101." You check it off, and nobody ever talks about it again. They don't care if you took it at Beeswax Elementary School or the University of Florida. Oh, you took it. Congratulations. Yay! That's $600 you don't have to pay, and that $50 book.
And the universities cannot deny it.
They can't. They have to take it.
Yep. Because you've earned a course that is in the state course catalog with the exact same number as and you cannot take it twice.
There you go. And what bothers me again is that people don't know. And I always wonder, how do I know? And they don't know. How's that possible? Who didn't tell them? Where did the system fail them? Who in the system fail them? Because somebody did. Because that's information I think that most of my parents would love to hear anyway. Whether they acted on it or not. But to have all your options, I think, are extremely important. How will they not know? And why wouldn't somebody tell them that?
And again, it's dissemination of information, which I took on as a major responsibility. You have to have a point person at the school that is going to take on that responsibility. And to me, it wasn't a responsibility. To me, it was an act of love to make sure that these students knew what was available to them. Only can they take advantage of it if they know it exists.
Oh, yeah.
And if they know the difference between dual enrollment and advanced placement. Because there's so much of an so much of an emphasis on advanced placement, where there's not that much emphasis on the dual enrollment.
When I was at my last school, it was crazy because I talked to the math department head there, and I said, "How come all the Magna kids are in AP classes?" I wish I were lying to you.
Because they were told about them. In fact, they weren't even told; they were scheduled into them.
Yes. And I asked, "Are all of them AP kids?" And then he smiled at me and walked away.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." So that's what I thought. I think where we were, they were keeping those AP kids and Magna kids away from what we call GP, general population.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why that was my last year. I couldn't anymore. But anyway,
it's so sad.
It was awful. I was angry because
and that gets back to, if they don't know, they can't take advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Then their debt mounts when they get out of high school.
Yes,
they could have saved all that money.
It's a concept that's a real popular concept now when we start talking about universities and the like. Is ROI. ROI is normally used when we start talking about investments. So you invest in something and hope to get a return on that investment. Education I think is an investment. A college degree is an investment in your future, obviously. But should we start looking at what that return is going to be? I mentioned to you, when we had a phone call yesterday, a particular major at a particular school. And I won't do that now. But some majors, I look at and go, I wonder if that's actually going to pay off. Now, I had a student here who was an IB kid at King. And she went off and got an engineering degree from UCF. And then she went to work for NASA. As a flute player, yes. This young lady, who I actually, when I was a notary, I married her and her husband. My wife and I would marry her and her husband. Went to work for NASA, and she wrote the technical manual on how to put the porch on the space station. So when they were installing that, they were talking to her in Houston.
But you made an important point. She majored in engineering.
So there was a return on that investment.
Absolutely. She knew when she graduated that she was going to be able to get a job, and a well-paying job.
Other majors, and there are lots of them out there, and if you can major in whatever you want. If you want to major in African American studies, 14th century English poetry, whatever. I don't care. Do whatever you want because you're going to anyway. I do have to wonder, social work, we do social workers, wonder the price of those degrees, the cost of those degrees versus what you're going to make to chop down that mountain of debt we talked about.
If you can get a job. You know, if you major in education, you know you're going to get a job. Mm-hmm. You major in engineering, you know you're going to get a job. You major in pre-med. I mean, even if you don't pass the MCATs, you can become a PA, a physician assistant. So I tried to make sure, you know, I would say, well, what do you want to major in to a student? And they would say, whatever.
Marine biology.
And I'd say.
It was very popular around here.
And what are you going to do with it?
Gonna work at SeaWorld in Orlando.
Everybody. They wanted to dive with the whales.
Yeah.
And I said, how many people do you think get that opportunity? You know, you have to have a backup plan. But in the majority of cases, their parents went along with it. I'm merely saying that I don't think they understood the difficulties that their children were going to have.
Yeah, I worked in the remember the dream centers for a while. They had where they were attached to. There was one in Bloomingdale that I worked at, and they were attached to the guidance department, and they had all these career stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
mm-hmm.
and I did that for I did that for my time there, and while we were doing scheduling, half the class would come here, and we were talking about such things, and I mentioned marine biology because I would ask that. So what are you going to be when you grow up? And 25-35% of the kids say I want to be a marine biologist. And then I would ask the question, so what do marine biologists do? Do you have any idea? Nobody had a clue to what they did. They thought you'd be a marine biologist so you could work at SeaWorld and play with the big fish. And I go, well, that's cool. People are doing it, but there are not many people doing that. They're not. There's a few people there. They don't have thousands of people working in that position. Most of the people who work at SeaWorld work in culinary. They work in food services. Would you like some catch up with that? Those are the people who have, that's a lot of jobs there. There's only a few of them. They can all drive over in the same van.
Yep.
And I don't think people have any idea. And I'm not a conspiratorialist. You guys know that. But I have to wonder why systemically this information, because if I know, I'm thinking, heck, this can't be hard. Everybody should know. Everybody. It can't be hard. And why?
I firmly believe because they're not given the information.
But why? You know, if I'm at school and I'm concerned about the student or our school system, searching around the student from elementary school and getting them into the rest of their life, whether it be post-secondary, whether it be whatever, then I've got to be that information avenue to give the parents and the kids all the information so they can make the right choices for the rest of their lives.
And the people who spend the most time with the students are the teachers. So I would reach out to teachers. And I would say, he make sure, please make sure the students know this and that. And right now I'm thinking about scholarships, but I'd make sure that the teachers had the information, so if they chose to share it with the students, they could.
I just can't imagine. I can't imagine why you wouldn't. If you care about kids, I don't know why you wouldn't. Because it's so important for them.
But I think education is compartmentalized.
Boy, oh boy, that is the truest thing that's been said. That's for sure. And I'm not sure why that is either. But.
If I'm a teacher and I'm teaching math, and that's what I want to do with my 50 minutes, I don't want to have to promote scholarships. I mean, and it's not for a lack of wanting to. They don't have time.
Okay. Do it anyway. I don't know. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. And you may not be able to do it at every level in every class, but do it anyway. Like we do in music, make it part of your repertoire. Make it part of your repertoire. Just like all the other things they ask you to do that are nonsensical. I don't have any real bearing, and then a year later they say, we're not doing that anymore?
The thing that I think is the most important thing for teachers to do is to take an interest in the follow-on course. If they're teaching algebra, do they want their students in geometry honors or geometry? And to understand what happens if you're in a regular algebra class, and in our county, geometry follows Algebra 1, except at IB programs. And if you have a student who's in regular algebra, you say, hey, you're really smart, why don't you take geometry honors? So when the counselors get the programming sheets, that's what we call, and they see the geometry honors, they're going to put the student in, and the student performed well, they're going to put the student in Algebra 2 honors. However, Algebra 1 regular and Algebra 1 honors are entirely different courses. So a student who had Algebra 1 regular is not prepared for Algebra 2 honors. There's a major skill gap there. And that's what I'm saying. It takes a village to raise a kid. It's that, I don't really like that expression, but we all have to work together.
And I think that people have to be honest. And sometimes being honest about if a student is ready for this or that. What I do here is I tell the students I will never lie to them.
Right, exactly.
If it's good, if they play well, I tell them so. But if they don't play well, I also tell them so. I tell them that some days you will leave this lesson and you will be angry with me. Their first lesson, I tell them, some days you will be angry with me because what I'm going to do is tell you the truth all the time. So when it goes well, because I know how to make it go well, I know how to play like me, and I know how to play like you. I know how to get you from point A to point B. So some days you'll be mad at me, you'll be frustrated because this can be frustrating. So when it goes well, and I say it was really good, it means a lot to them. but I'm directing them on a path to where they can be successful, regardless. So some days you have to tell them what they're not expecting, and you have to tell parents what they're not expecting. Like
That's why you and I got along so well.
there are differences between algebra people and geometry people.
Exactly.
Talk to anybody who does math; they'll tell you, I'm an algebra person, you're a geometry person. So just because you did well in a geometry, even a geometry honors class, doesn't mean you have the background or the mental acuity or whatever it takes to do well in the algebra class, because you may not be an algebra person, and that's okay. It's fine. It's not going to hurt you. Unless you want to teach algebra, it's not going to hurt you. So maybe there's another option for you as you move along, as you matriculate along your educational thing. There may be another option for you. And why that doesn't happen in systems and it isn't just our system. It happens all over the country. Why that isn't the case just blows me away. I don't get it. I just don't understand. Why won't we just tell people the truth? Just tell them what's real. This is the deal. Yeah, your kid got averaged a 35 in this geometry honors class, and I don't think they're ready for trig. Oh, my kid is going to pull us up by his bootstrap. He's gonna be ready for it. Yeah, put him in there. Oh no, we're not going to do that to your kid, or the teacher. We're not going to. Get a 35 average. You missed 35 days of school last 9 weeks. No, absolutely not. We're not going to. We're not going to torture your child away because we actually like your kid. We like him better than we like you right now. We're not going to do that.
And we want your kid to keep coming back.
I want him to keep coming back. We want him to get better. We want him to learn. We want him to like it. I don't understand. And that's one of the reasons I had to quit. I had to leave. I left before I could retire because I just couldn't keep watching that happen to kids. I just couldn't. I don't want to be a part of it anymore. I didn't want to be associated with it anymore. So I came here where I'm in control of the educational system of my students, and I will tell them the truth. And they say, I want to be a professional musician. I go, okay, cool. Here's what you have to do. Go home, do it. Or you don't want to do that. And that's fine too. You don't have to. I have some teachers that have come to my studio, and they'll tell you, Mr. Willie always told me the truth all the time. This is going to be super hard, and you're going to hate it some days. Yes. And especially if you're doing it to eat. Yes. It's going to be super hard, and no one's going to understand. Nope. I don't understand why that's a problem. Is it just parents and societal expectations? You mentioned competition before. The competition from parents.
But again,
But
parents
just ignorance.
Parents can't know what they don't know. Parents can't recommend the best thing for their student if they don't know what the best thing is, and that's not because they're not smart or they don't care. It's because they don't know what's available.
And you mentioned that there had to be somebody who's a point person, and that's what you were. I don't know why systems don't make sure that there are point people in order for parents to have as much. Now, you took a lot of this. I watched you on yourself. I watched you do it on yourself because you love especially where we worked. So those kids were so adorable. Some of them were nightmares, but some of them were so adorable. It is probably the school that I've worked at that had the nicest kids, generally speaking, that I've worked at in this county. Just the nicest kids. And a lot of them were hard not to like. Even the kids who didn't do well academically necessarily, some of them were impossible not to like. But you took that on yourself. It would seem to be that would be a systemic thing that who's ever in charge of the district, school, or whatever would say, we had to make sure that these kids, especially if they're in a semi-rural area, our area it started rural, and it's not as rural as it used to be, obviously, it's more suburban. And make sure those kids and parents have the information they need, period.
But the importance you're putting on it and the importance I felt for it is not coming from the top down.
Yeah. And I get back to my question, how come? What are they so concerned with? So engulfed with that this really basic thing that actually filters down to the family and the future of that family and future families from that.
Because that's non-quantifiable.
Oh, yeah. Non-quantifiable. Yeah, so let's all shove into this hole and good luck. But at the same time, you can't do other things and say you're doing it for the children. You can't pick and choose, it seems. And that seems to be something that as systems have failed at, both at the high school level and the post-secondary level. They seem to have failed because you see the guy who has the master's degree as your barista, because we had to change the name to make it more fancy, at the coffee shop. We couldn't say, oh, this is the guy who serves the coffee. You're the coffee maker. No, you are the barista. I don't even know what a barista is. That is the made up term of the millennium.
Not to be confused with a barrister.
Barristers make more money than baristas. I don't know what a barrister is.
It's that extra R in there.
That's the difference. Yeah. Barristers make a lot more money. It's a little bit more school, but it's a lot more money. I don't understand, and I still don't understand why that is. And my question is, and I've lost some friendships with some teachers because I continue to put forth these things. Like I keep saying, we could do better.
Oh, absolutely.
We should do better.
Absolutely.
By these families.
Absolutely.
That entrust their little monsters to you 7.5 hours a day, 180 days a year for 12 years. You're such an integral part of their lives. And to say at the end of it that you're going to be hands off because it's not quantifiable. Good luck, go for yourself. It's just horrendous.
And I was very fortunate to work at the school I worked at because other schools would not give the people in the same position, the CCCs, the latitude that I had. I mean, I would meet with parents. I would have night meetings. I would have a 9th grade meeting, a 10th grade, etc. And even though 500 parents didn't come, you know what? That used to bother me at the beginning. But then my husband said to me, there's 75 out there. Now you have 75 families who know what to do, and they have friends, and they'll share it. And I would make a book of everything, and not so. These are the graduation requirements. This is the programming sheet. These are the Bright Futures requirements. Bright Futures is a scholarship in the state of Florida that comes from the state of Florida, supported by lottery money. And so the next day after I had my meeting, I'd have 100 kids in my office wanting the book. At least that,
that's powerful.
That's giving them the information.
That is powerful. And you took that upon yourself,
and there were other schools that felt they didn't have the funds to make these books. I mean, mine were, and I'd make.
So these weren't hard-covered, leather-bounded
No,
books.
No. It was paper with a staple. I wanted to keep it as cheap as possible, but they were worthy of being, and I'm not being arrogant, but the information was certainly worthy of being leather bound.
Well, that's why you were special, and I'm sorry, you were special, and you still are. If this has been something that you have been interested in and you want more of, I know you don't think I have more friends, but I do have more friends. Uh, um, I want to continue these conversations because we're getting to the end. We're at after spring break in most places, or coming up on spring break. So a lot of you have kids that are about to take this journey, and you're taking this journey with them. And it just bothers me that again you don't have all the information you need. Um, don't be afraid or embarrassed to call the guidance departments at your schools and find out if there is a person. Sorry, I'm going to say this. There is never going to be a person at your school like Franci. There just isn't one. But somebody who at least has the same position. And get as much information as you can, because the return on investment in some of these degrees is very, very important to your son or your daughter's future and the future of your family in the short term, because especially if this is coming out of your own pocket. So make sure that you have all the information you need. If indeed you have questions, send us an email at fightbackmedia@gmail.com, fightbackmedia@gmail.com, fightbackmedia@gmail.com. Franci, thank you ever so much for spending some time with me this
My
morning.
pleasure.
It is always so good to see you. Oh, and I was thinking about doing this because our friend Al watches. Al, Franci and I say, hi, glad you're doing better. Can't wait to give you a hug, buddy. In any case, until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, you take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye.